Gentlemen, welcome back to episode 10 of Entrepreneurs in Quarantine. There's no time for a fancy intro, just straight talk with today's guest, Joseph Jalkh, who's my tax man. He hooks up my companies with all the tax planning strategies, and he really hooks up my clients with really great advice whenever we need him. Well, Joseph Jalkh, welcome to the show. Who are you? What do you do, good sir?
Thank you, Jamie. Nice hat and suit. So, listen, it's quarantine, huh?
This is what it is.
Yeah. So my name is Joseph Jalkh. I'm a tax lawyer in Quebec and Ontario, and I'm a founder of Fiscal Boss. Basically, what I do is I do a lot of corporate restructuring for clients. So everything has to do with estate planning, estate freezes, making trusts, company rollovers, tax litigation, pretty much like a lot of corporate work and tax work. That's the kind of work that I do.
So Joe, let's get right into it. People want to know about what the measures are and how it relates to them, business owners and individuals. Let's get right into the top 5 considerations. First consideration really is federal versus provincial. Federal is giving out grants of up to $2,000 a month. Provincial is giving, around $573 a week. Give us a sense of who's eligible for these grants, the money that's available, and can you get both of them together? How does it work?
Yeah, so I mean, as you guys know, the rules are like changing a lot. I mean, not the rules because they haven't all been, sanctioned by Parliament yet. They're not officially rules, but there's been a lot of, measures that have been taken by the federal government and the provincial government the last few days. Actually, it started March 18th. So, I mean, there's a lot of measures, and we're still following everything every day to get more details. So, to reference Jamie, basically, as you know, the federal has implemented what is called the Economic Response Plan to the COVID-19. So up to $27 billion will be given directly to support Canadian workers and businesses in these tough times. So first, the federal government, what they've done is they've issued a temporary income support, it's called, for $2,000 a month, which is not taxable, for up to 15 months, which is backdated to March 15th. So basically, to qualify, you have to have certain conditions.
Yeah.
You have to be at least 15 years old. You have to have worked at least 14 days. I mean, stopped working 14 days since March 15th because of COVID. And in the last 12 months before you apply, or in 2019, you have to have at least $5,000 of revenues. So if you don't have this, unfortunately, you're not qualified.
Okay.
So who does it aim to? Basically, besides these conditions, you have to be someone who was directly affected by COVID-19, so you lost your job. Or you have to be someone who's self-employed, for example, or employee who has been quarantined or sick with COVID-19. You don't qualify also for employment sickness benefits like usual. Or you have been someone who has to stay home to take care of your kids or your family members. Or you have to take, for like any other reason, basically you cannot work because of COVID-19 that you were laid off. So that's the conditions for federal. Now, is it good, Jamie? Everything's good? You hear me good? Okay. And because we're having technical difficulties the last few minutes. So in Quebec, same thing. It's a similar plan. You have to be at least 18 years old or more, and you have to have been in isolation because you contracted the virus, or you have been in contact with someone with the virus, or someone who returned from abroad. So compensation of an employer, no private insurance, and you don't qualify for the employment insurance of the federal. So basically, the Quebec one will give you, if you don't qualify for the federal, all these things, $573 a week of compensation for these people.
Now let's get into some of the new delays that have been granted on account of all of this mess. Let's talk about the new tax return filing as well as the payment deferrals that the governments are granting. What can you tell us about that?
Okay. Well, first I just wanted to complete. Sorry, Jamie, I cut you. So for the temporary income support for the Quebec government, they haven't really announced how to apply for it yet. But in federal, starting in 4 days, April 6th, to apply for the income support, you're gonna have to go 3 ways basically. Either you go to CRA My Account through a portal that is secure, or you go to My Service Canada account. That's usually for people who are who want to apply for employment insurance. or you can just call a number, toll-free number, and they're gonna process it over the phone. I would recommend going online. Okay,
Amazing.
so for the filing deadlines, second point is, as you know, I mean, everybody has to file, usually individuals, by April 30th, their tax returns. For self-employed, it's always June 15th. And for trusts is basically, usually it's in March 31st.
Yeah.
So now, because of the COVID, basically the deadlines for filing and payments have been deferred. So for individuals, you have until June 1st, 2020. For self-employed, June 15th. And
Yeah.
it doesn't really change anything for them. And for trusts, it's until May 1st also. And all payments are until August 31st or even September 2020 at the minimum for now. So it's a few more months to actually pay your taxes and
Okay, I'm sure that'll be very helpful. People will take advantage of that. So. Joseph, tell us about temporary wage subsidies. How does it work? Can companies apply for it now? Is the program mature enough?
Okay, so for the federal tax subsidy, basically wage subsidy, how it works. So basically, you have to go. The wage subsidy is going to be in effect right now from March 15th to June 6th. So that's the initial period. I don't know if they're going to actually increase it or prolong it afterwards. But for now, that's what it is. And the way that it works is the government is going to subsidize you for 75% of your remuneration during that period. And basically up to the first $58,700 of employee salaries. So up to $847 a week. So the maximum the government is going to give you is 75% of the first $58,700 of each employee that you have, up to $847 a week. So the rest, the 25%, you're going to have to pay yourself, or you just don't pay it. But obviously, I'm going to continue. By the government doesn't really want people to just pay the 75%. They're saying clearly that they don't want people to actually use this as a as to abuse the system, or not to make their best efforts to actually top up the rest of the 25% to the employees. So basically, you have to do the best you can as a company, if you can afford it, to pay the salaries of the employees pre-COVID. So they just want you to do the best efforts to do that.
The companies have to they can't rely on this as a convenient measure, as a convenient tax break.
Yeah, and the other condition for this is basically because you have to have had at least 30% of the gross revenue that was decreased because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And how they calculate it, it's going to be a month-by-month analysis. So right now it's in March. I mean, it's in April right now, April 2nd. But let's say you want it for March. You have to prove that March 2019 was at least 30% higher than March 2020. Then next month in April, you're going to have to do the same thing in May. Right now it's 3 months. So you have to make sure that it's a month-by-month analysis, and you have to apply every month, and you have to show that 30% was lowered last year. And so who does it apply to? It applies to corporations, partnerships, self-employed, non-profit organizations and charities registered.
Interesting.
It doesn't apply to public bodies such as, for example, municipalities, local governments, public universities, colleges, schools, and hospitals. Unfortunately, they don't really fit for this program. It's just for corporations or the partnerships or the rest that I said. And the portal online is going to be again April 6th. Business people can apply for this subsidy to be given to them. So I just want to say, Jamie, one thing. So if you don't fit into the 30% decrease from last year, there's another option that is for you in this Canada Emergency Subsidy Plan. It's basically, they had announced it, I think on 2 weeks ago. It was basically, instead of giving you 75%, it's only 10%. So they're going to give you 10%. It's if you're a Canadian-controlled private corporation. So you cannot be a public corporation or a company that's controlled by foreigners. You have to be a Canadian-controlled company. And they're going to give you 10% of the remuneration of all the employees, up to maximum $1,375 per employee. And for the whole business, $25,000 per employer. So you can have at least maybe around 20 employees. So
that'll be the second that'll be the second cushion that's available if the 70% is not applicable.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's to help people the companies that, because not a lot of people were affected by 30%.
Sure.
So this still helps them somehow in another way.
Joseph, that's excellent, very helpful. Talking about loans, government-backed loans that are backed by Investissement Québec. There's been a lot of talk of through the banking system and the retail banking and commercial banking that there would be loans and maybe even grants available to companies who need working capital to survive until this is over. What could you tell us about those programs?
Sure. So, I mean, as you guys know, the Federal Reserve, dropped the interest rate to like 0.25. It's been a few days. So that's number one. Besides this, for small and business corporations, the government, it's going to loan up to $40,000 of interest-free loan for the first year, and up to $10,000 will be non-reimbursable if the balance is paid before or maximum on December 31, 2022. So basically, you have to talk to the banks for more details, but the government will loan you $40,000, no interest for the first year, and then you can get back $10,000 if you pay everything. The only thing to qualify is your payroll must have been in 2019 between $50,000 to $1 million of payroll. If you don't have this payroll, the government will not give you the loan, the $40,000. That's for federal. That's at the federal level. Now for Quebec, the Quebec also, there's another program that was done. So first, Investissement Quebec is partnering with the government to give minimum funding of $50,000 per company. And this, there's a lot of, basically, I'm not going to go over to them, just email me, email Jamie, DM us on Instagram, Facebook, if you have questions. But there's conditions to this. And also for the, basically, you have to show grand scale that your company was really affected by the COVID-19. And if you don't get the loans or $50,000 of the funding, you're going to be in jeopardy. So you might lose your business and, you might have problems. And this is limited right now as to the supply of raw materials or products. So goods or services. And that's what it is. It's not for everything. It's just that, for the raw materials or products, you have to have a problem with the supply because you have no money. And another measure also that was done besides Investissement Québec is the Caisse de dépôt. Caisse de dépôt is for bigger corporations. If you need more than $5 million of financing because you've been affected by COVID-19, they will look at, first of all, if you've been profitable before the crisis and if you have a lot of promising growth, in the sector. So basically, it's like a really, really detailed analysis. They're going to look if, it's not for any company. And I'm not sure what is promising growth for now, but they're going to look at each case by case to see if your company, is in a good situation in its sector. So that's the other thing.
So obviously, there's a lot of details specific to the company. It's not there's no rule of thumb that's going to apply to every industry or every company.
No, exactly.
Joseph, any other
measures, we're still going day by day. I mean, at this stage, it's a crisis. So the government is trying to adjust every day. But all these measures have been criticized because, as you know, 30% and all these things. Because let's say someone has 29% instead of 30. You know what I mean? So it's like a bracket that seems to be fixed. But some companies, maybe they have less margin profits instead of just gross, and these people will not get, unfortunately, the subsidy for the wages.
Joseph, this has been episode 10 of Entrepreneurs in Quarantine. Answering your questions. I appreciate your time, buddy. There's a lot of technical information in this episode, so reach out to Joseph for more information. And Joe, I'm looking forward to shaking your hand when this is all done, buddy.
Of course. Fist bump.
Take care, man.
Thank you.
Ciao, buddy.
Thank you. Bye.